Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. This released late last year, and I didn't really get around to it back then, but I've recently gotten super into the game, so I figured, you know what, there's been plenty of content, they've added trading, they've added a ton of stuff, let's finally give this game a good old corner look, why not? So the Pokemon TCG Pocket is essentially a truncated light version of the Pokemon Trading Card game designed for mobile devices. The actual trading card game already has a playable version on mobile devices called Pokemon TCG Live, but this is a sort of reinterpretation of the game in a simpler form with brand new cards and its own lineup of sets to be released over the coming months. The game is very much designed to capture the attention of not only people who want to play the trading card game, but also people who enjoy collecting. There's plenty of features designed just for them. For instance, you can put cards into these fake binders or display boards and put them up next to your profile. You know, there's plenty of ways to view cards. Like when you go view a card in the card viewer, it is actually a 3D model. You can kind of spin and look at how it reflects, or maybe there's some layers of depth, or maybe you pulled one of these cinematic cards, which literally plays an entire animation if you tap and hold the card. It's really cool, actually. And to keep these people engaged, you can receive 2 packs per day for free. 1 pack every 12 hours, but it kind of like caps at that point, so you have to open the packs at least once a day to keep receiving new packs. It's an interesting system, definitely designed to get you to keep coming back to this game no matter what, so you're not just like sitting on a ton of packs after a week or something. It's it's how, it's the predatory mobile game design. They want you to keep playing the game over and over again to keep getting the stuff. Pack opening is 100% tied to this cooldown timer. You can spend these hourglasses to refill the timer so you can open more packs. It's a whole system the game has. There's things you can buy to buy other currencies, to buy other things. I haven't spent a dime on this game. I never spend money on free-to-play mobile games like this, even ones I get really into, because if I'm really into it, I probably end up having enough to do what I want to do in the game anyway. But yeah, there's a whole weird, scummy economy with this game, which kind of trickles into every other aspect of the game, including the recently added trading feature. You can now trade with people, but you're on a trade cooldown timer. You can only trade cards if you already have duplicates. You can also only trade cards from the previous set. You can't trade cards from, like, say, the current set, which at the time of this recording is Triumphant Light. My friend wants to build an Arceus deck and needs some Crobats, and I've got plenty of Crobats, but they don't let me trade them. Also, you can't trade cards that are above a certain rarity level. I think the highest level rarity is anything you can get from the Wonder Pick, which is another thing in this game, which has its own economy, where you pick cards from packs that friends and strangers have opened. Again, there's a million different things in this game and a million different currencies. There's event currencies, there's free currencies, paid currency. It's oh my god, it's so much. It's a lot, then that's just kind of the standard mobile game thing, which is unfortunate. I do think the cards are really pretty, though. It's nice that they haven't taken away from the quality of the actual TCG, at least in my opinion. But you know what? It's cool seeing all these illustration rares based on certain mons. I actually still have a ton of hourglasses saved up because I've been waiting for a Generation 6 themed set. All the sets thus far, at least the major ones, seem to be themed around specific generations with, that set containing Pokemon EXs exclusively from said generation. So we had a Gen 1 set and a Gen 4 set. So I'm hoping that a Gen 6 set will be in the cards somewhat soon. I mean, you know me, I love Kalos, so I would really hope to see that in this game sometime soon. But I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll be saving that for later in the year to tie into ZA. Maybe they'll introduce Megas. We don't know. But that then leads us to the biggest draw of the game, the battling. I mean, I'd say it's the biggest draw. There's definitely the most gameplay to actually be had in the battle system of TCG Pocket. It is essentially a simplified version of the standard Pokemon trading card game. Instead of building 60 card decks, you only build 20 card decks. You can only run 2 of each card in a deck instead of 4 of each card, and a lot of other things have changed. Like, there's no more prize cards, there's no more energy cards. You instead take energy from a sort of energy zone that refills every turn, and instead of getting prize cards, you get points, and you have to get up to 3 points instead of taking 6 prize cards. You can only have 3 Pokemon on the bench instead of 5, and it's just kind of a general reset for the gameplay of the Pokemon TCG. That game has had so much power creep and just strength boosting over the decades that it's been around. So this game brings things back to basics, for better or for worse. That's kind of what turned me off initially. Once I had played a few matches with the cards available and the decks that I had built in this game, I kind of realized, I don't know, it's really, really simple, honestly. But the game has already kind of seen, I want to say, somewhat substantial power creep. There's been some pretty powerful cards introduced, some that behave more akin to actual cards in the actual TCG, which, might be a little bit broken when placed into this game. Take, for instance, Arceus EX. This card has an attack that for 3 colorless energy, meaning any energy of any type, you can do 70 damage plus an additional 20 damage for each benched Pokemon. This is somewhat similar to Pokemon in the actual TCG like Terrapagos, who do 30 damage for each Pokemon on the bench for 2 colorless. They are both basics, they don't require evolutions, but, Terrapagos, okay, he's hitting a maximum of 150 unless, whatever, there's other things in play, I'm not going to get into that, right? But most big Pokemon in this game now are at least well over 200 HP, so okay, no big deal. Meanwhile, Arceus will hit up to 140 in a meta where most Pokemon aren't really any higher than, say, 170, and since he has 3 colors, there's gonna be a little bit of setup time with him anyway, so you'll probably be able to take that extra health off of whatever big body you need Arceus to kill. And, there's other cards that also do quite a bit. There's a tool that gives you a 20 HP increase, which in actual TCG would be nothing, but because of how this game works, again, lower numbers still, it does quite a lot. There's a Shaman card that I run in the Arceus deck that I play that heals every Pokemon in play on your side by 10 HP every turn, which, again, not a lot in actual TCG, but since, things are still pretty small, very effective card. I don't know how bad power creep is going to get, but this has led to me getting back into the game, and it's kind of why I've been doing this review in the first place. Arceus is very easily the best deck in format, but after playing more, I'm realizing that not everybody's using it, and also other decks are still pretty good. I still play Starmie EX, a deck I built back when the game first launched. I swapped out a few cards because there's a few really powerful ones they added, but yeah, I'm having tons of fun right now with the combat, honestly. I think it's a breath of fresh air compared to the actual TCG, which granted, it's getting some pretty cool stuff in the next little bit. I've only actually been a fan of the Pokemon trading card game for about a year, only been playing it for maybe 10, 11 months, but I've been so engulfed by it over the last little bit, and with all the new stuff coming to that, I'm extremely excited about it. But this game is also pretty fun, honestly. I'm really liking what they're doing here. But besides the fear of crazy power creep, not everything's perfect with TCG Pockets battling. For one, it is a lot harder to build decks in this game. Building decks IRL is obviously okay, I gotta get these singles, and maybe I'll pull, maybe I'll buy cards from stores. And, building decks in TCG Live is actually super easy because just from getting tons of code cards, you have all these trade points, and you can basically build whatever you want if you actually play the TCG regularly and have tons of code cards lying around. Pocket, on the other hand, has no connection to the actual TCG, so you're not going to be getting all these trade points and extra cards just for playing it. You have to feed into its economy. Every time you open a pack, you get that game's equivalent to trade points for that set. But they're a lot more strict with these. I believe you only get 5 for opening a pack, and cards on their own cost 70 trade points if they're a Pokemon, 120 if they're a supporter, 500 if they're an EX. It's really hard to build stuff via just the trade points, unless, again, you're using a ton of hourglasses and opening a ton of packs. Maybe that's my problem. Again, I have 500 saved up because I want to save them for a set I'm really, really into. But who knows? Maybe if I use them all, I'd be able to build whatever I want. I was debating building a third real deck to play in this game, but I realized, I have nowhere near enough points to actually put it together. So, oh well, guess I can't do that. But again, that's just me, right? I'm lucky enough to have 2 decks that I enjoy playing that I already got built. What about my friends who are trying to just build one deck to play who still don't have all the cards they need? Again, they want to be able to kind of choose what they play, right? They want to be like, okay, I'm going to build this thing. And, I guess in that case, you probably would have to spend a ton of hourglasses. I don't know. It's a weird situation. That's just how the system works because this is a free-to-play mobile game. Again, it's fun. I think it's pretty cool. I think this was a fun idea to get more people interested in the TCG. I'm actually kind of surprised. The the actual trading card game has been in a really rough spot market-wise. Like, it's really hard to get stuff right now for actual retail price, which is very unfortunate. Just a lot of greedy sellers and stores at the moment, but what are you going to do? Hopefully it'll fix itself somewhat soon. But, you know, you'd think that TCG Pocket started all of that, but no, it was really just them releasing this crazy EV set in January. I don't really know what the overlap is between Pocket and actual TCG. I've been seeing a lot of TCG content creators do Pocket for a little bit, then say, I don't like this isn't what it's about, I'm going to go back to the regular one. You know, me being the opposite, having kind of had a distaste to it right at the start. I mean, I gave it a shot when it came out. I wanted to talk about it back in November, but I fell off of it pretty quickly and just kind of kept going back to open my packs and nothing else. But I don't know, since Triumphant Light, I've been into playing the game again, which is very surprising. I hope the game continues to entertain me on the off chance I'm in the mood for Pokemon TCG, but don't actually want to play the Pokemon TCG. That's all I have to say about the game for today. Keep yourselves cornered for more on Pokemon, Nintendo, gaming, all the good stuff. You know what I'm doing around here. You know what's up. There's like enough videos on the channel for you to get the gist of that. And I will see you guys on the next one.